think a healthy balance between the process and the results is like necessary, because like Sun said, you need the process to get to the level that you want to be at, right? But you need the results to keep you motivated to do the process, right? I think like a good way for me that I go about it is like I do enjoy the results, but I bring down the scale of like what results I'm expecting, right? So it's like it's not like I don't know, like the rockstar analogy, right? It's not like if I have the goal of being a rock star and I like try to pick a guitar, everything I do that doesn't lead up to me, or everything I do that doesn't match up with me to me being a rock star, it just sucks, right? Like I play a chord and I'm like, fuck, I'm not a rock star yet. You know, I learned what scale. I'm like, fuck, I'm not a rock star.
I could be.
Yeah.
Where these girls come from?
You know what? I think that like if I focus more on the smaller results, like you know, I'm learning this chord. If I can learn this one chord, you know, I'll be happy, right? And then in turn, that happiness will make me want to do it more, because it's like, oh, I can do this, you know. But it's a matter of like breaking it up and not having a goal that's like way, way, way out of reach.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Nuanced Nonsense. We are not experts, we just like talking. This is your co-host Alex.
This is your other co-host Ben, and today I brought on my League of Legends team. We play a bunch of Clash together, and so actually one of them wanted to talk about first impressions, so we can go along with their names as they introduce themselves and their first impressions of each other. So who wants to go first?
I guess I could go first. I just introduced myself, right?
Yeah,
first,
and then we can say our first impression of you after you introduce yourself.
Oh, everyone is gonna like. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
It's like a little roast circle. Okay,
yeah,
cool. I'm Sun. I'm an Austin native, and I just graduated from UT.
All right.
I guess everyone's just gonna roast
I
me.
can start.
Yeah,
so I actually have known Sun since like elementary school. We started 5th grade together, and the very first encounter I had with him, we were in art class, and you know where this is going. And the teacher was calling roll, right? So she went like, you know, Jonathan Kamya here, like Eileen Farrell here, right? And then it came to Sun's turn. She's like, Sun Lay, and this guy he stands up and he's like, penis, like what? Like out loud. Everybody died, and like even the teacher was cracking up. She's like, son, don't say that. And ever since then I knew this guy was a troll.
That sounds like it's out of a movie.
It's
from a young age.
so funny.
Oh my god. Okay, I think I might have met Sun second out of everyone else here. I met him in freshman year at UT. We were on the same dance team for UT FSA Modern. And back then, he was also a troll. I remember him telling me that he wanted to get into dance during college. So in our spring semester, he joined the team. And that's how I've primarily known him. Us improving together as dancers, but also playing Smash and playing video games. So my first impression of him was he's a troll, but then I also got to know him a little bit better, and I found out that he works really hard, and he's a funny guy.
Who's next? Maybe me?
Yeah, go for it. You probably met him next, yeah.
I think I met him in freshman year, also at UT Austin. I don't remember when exactly. I know. Okay, so I'm really into social dancing, and there was this organization I sort of like went to on Saturday nights. And we would like just dance in this area in one of the dormitories. And near there, Sun was just practicing his own dance, right? And I guess he saw me in like a biology class or something. And he just walked up to me randomly. And he was like, hey, I think we've met before. Or something along those lines, as if we had met before. But I'm pretty sure I had never met him at this point in time.
He's trying to flirt with you.
That's how Sun meets girls, bro.
I think we met before in my dreams, bro.
And then from there, he just like proceeds to like talk to me like for a really long time. Remember, at first he just like talking to me about dance, and I was like really, really confused. So I wasn't sure if it was like troll or not. Like I just thought really, really like strange. But then like the conversation like went on for a really long time, and I realized like, wait, I feel like I connect with this guy. And then from then on, like I feel like I got the same impression of like troll, but like there was no specific instance. It just permeated the entirety of our friendship. Because like Sun is friends with me and another one of my good friends, and he like acts very, very like strange around us. I don't even know how to really describe it.
Yeah, let's see. I think I met Sun. Let's see, probably like further into college. So Sun became sort of like a legend in like the microcosm of UT dance. Like the name was kind of everywhere, and I would go to a couple of the workshops I like got into a little bit later, and would see him there. But I didn't know that he was good friends with like Matthew and Ben by this point. So met him, introduced myself. He was definitely a goon at the time. And I really appreciate that. Like I can really relate to trying to make people laugh. So we got along.
You're both goons, bro.
And yeah, just played a lot of games together. Hung out. He would go to classes with me when I had no one else to go with. I appreciated that. And yeah, it's just been history, man. The boys.
Yes, sir. Who introducing next, bro?
I'll go next, bro.
Oh, yes, sir, bro.
Yeah. So my name is Mick. We all just actually graduated UT together, so that's pretty cool. Like from Dallas area. I don't know what else. What other things? I was supposed to move to New York, but that's not happening because of COVID.
Bro,
Top lane.
praying for you.
Oh yeah, I'm the top lane on our class team.
Yeah, bro.
All right.
Wait. Before we go to Mick, Alex, first impression of Sun.
Oh, you want me to go? I thought it was just
Yeah.
My first impression of Sun. When did I meet Sun? I don't even remember. Oh,
I don't remember either.
we were bowling. I remember now because I think he came up to Dallas.
Oh shoot, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
honestly, I was just focused on bowling. But you seemed
Yeah.
funny at the time. Yeah, I've seen you throughout college, and you've always been. I can see your troll humor, but haven't had a full-on interaction yet. But maybe one day.
Dude, was this at the Plano Super Bowl? Is this not like oh my god.
I remember that.
Event, right?
It was main event. There was me, Alex, Sun, and another friend of ours.
Yeah. Yes, sir, bro.
All right, back to Mick.
We just go on to our first impressions of Mick, bro.
Yeah, bro, you can go.
I feel like I actually don't even remember. I feel like I'm a bad friend, but I don't remember the first time I met you. But I feel like I don't remember
Like in the same vicinity. Like we were
we were just exactly. We were just like around each other, and like I don't remember like when we formally were like, "Hey, I'm Sun. Hey, I'm Mick." But I feel like my first impression of you was that I was confused by your ethnicity. I was like, I don't know what this guy is. His last name's Yoon. Is he Korean? We don't look that Korean. He's like, right? And then I was like, okay, this guy's good looking too, bro. And then and like it's the same. Like I just respected that you're also a good one, bro. Like it's always a good time around you. So
appreciate that.
that's my impression, bro.
I'll go next. So I heard about Mick from Sun like a long time ago because we both play Smash and we both.
Oh yeah.
And we still need to have that death match.
We do, bro. We do.
But aside from that, I think the only interaction I've had with you is like playing video games, right?
Yeah, man.
But from that, I mean, I can tell you're like a really fun dude to be around, and he's like kind of the same troll wavelength as Sun, but just like a little bit, just like a slight variance, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool.
Okay, I met Mick in 6th grade in
Dang.
Plano at Robinson Middle School.
Yeah.
I think we just met through mutual friends. We were both in band. That's how we got to know each other a little bit better. And then what really brought us together was just playing League after school.
Legit, bro.
We like
So
had
great.
yeah, we had some like squad going back then. Not nearly the level we are at now. Say a whole lot, but yeah, just my first impression of him back then was I don't know, man, that was so long ago. I mean, it was good, I'm sure, but it wasn't. It was just another like cool
It'd
friend.
have to be, bro. Otherwise, you would have stuck around, right? You know?
Oh, also, all the people that play trombone in like his grade were like kind of same energy.
Oh, dude,
I
it was
feel
so
like
bad.
it's pretty funny. Like
That's
the
so fitting. You
so
played the
bad.
trombone, bro.
Yeah,
trombones
bro.
were like a little troll, a little like they're funny. They're all dudes, also.
Clown gang, dude. It was
Yeah,
something
clown.
else.
Yeah, clown gang.
Yes, sir.
All right. I also met him in 6th grade, but via PE. And I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
yeah,
bro.
yeah, we had our lockers were like across from each other, like this. And so I just remember thinking, I'm just like, bro, we're equally as fucked in like these activities just all the time.
Wait, what was so bad about your lockers?
No, like fucked in like the activities we do in gym. And I just
Oh.
always just be like, fuck, dude, that sucked. Or like that kind of energy.
You're like bonding over like those little scooters, like you feel like your hands between you, like just you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir, bro.
I met Mick, like, think this year or like the school year. I think we were doing a practice run for a podcast. I mean, my impression of him was like, I mean, I've heard of Mick from like Ben because I knew he was like one of like Ben's like close friends from like high school or middle school or whatever. I was like, oh, this guy's really charismatic. He has a good sense of humor. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Appreciate that,
Pick for
man.
president.
Gang.
Yes, sir, bro.
2020.
Right?
Nice.
Who's
Who's
next?
next, bro? Who introducing
I can
themselves
go
next?
next.
All right.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Kamya. I'm 22. I was born in Houston, but I moved to Austin when I was 8. And aside from Sun, I think I met everybody not through UT, but through just mutual interests.
Nice. Damn, I can give my first impression, bro. Yeah, I met Jonathan in 5th grade because I actually moved schools. Yeah, so I moved schools, and I remember, I don't know if this is like, it's not racist, but like I think at the time, because I'm like at a new school, I just gravitate towards people of like similar ethnicity to me. That's not racist, right?
No, not
but like I'm using like ethnicity to like my profiling advantage. But anyways, I was like, oh snap, another Asian. All right. I think I feel like we just always hung out because I just thought he was a cool dude. He was clearly the popular kid. So I was like, if I stick to him, I climb the social ranks too. Yeah. Also, he's a great artist. Like I remember in 5th grade, he used to draw, and he still definitely draws very well today.
Actually used to bully Sun in middle school.
Yeah,
Like elementary school a little bit.
Like the best comparison is like think of like the villain and like his crony. Right, like, and then like you mistreat his crony, but I'm still there, like, yeah. But I actually don't think. I feel like we really grew as friends like 3 years ago, and like it's been a while. But like there was just like one day where we just like caught up and we're like, all right, we tight. So that's my impression. If anyone would like to go next.
I'll go next. I have always heard of Jonathan from Sun, like throughout my entire UT. I didn't actually meet Jonathan until I graduated when we were playing League. Or just graduated, basically.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, because I think we had always just kind of like, I've always known of him. And I think like my interactions with him were just always super brief because we like know of each other. I think I introduced myself at some point, but it was like very brief, like maybe conversations were like 2 sentences total. And then I remember the first like vivid like interaction I had with him is we somehow ended up at the like a certain club together. And then he comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, dude, like I heard about your podcast. Like you got to let me on." I was so surprised to hear this at like the club. I was like, "Whoa!"
I'll catch it up to you, man.
Because like in clubs, like when I'm in clubs, I don't like dance, you know, because I don't know, like I have to be pretty drunk to dance, and so what I do is I like look around and I see people that like I kind of know, and I think like, what can I say to this person that'll spook them the most right now? And that's what I did.
Dude, you need to start handing out your business card at the clubs.
Like it sounds like a great place to network.
But yeah, that was my first impression. It was just shock. But then as I got to know him better, I was like, wait, this guy he has a lot to say.
Okay.
Yes, sir, bro.
I can go next. I heard of you same way, kind of like through Sun, right? Through like urban legends. I was like, hey,
Urban legend.
not the only Ganondorf on the block, bro. And I was like, oh, who is this man? So, you know, obviously didn't really get to meet you in person yet, but you know, seen your face in a couple video calls. You like play League a lot. I always thought you were a pretty good guy. You always like very level-headed. You know, even though when some of us may get frustrated, you're always like keeping calm, keeping cool. Seem to be a very calculated person. I can tell just from the way that you articulate all your sentences and things. So very, very sound of mind person. I guess my first impression of you. Pretty fun guy.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
All right. Jonathan and I met through Frisbee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it might have been pickup or FSA or both. I don't know. But we had played together just like casually every now and then. And then what else? I remember watching you at do a performance with your guitar one time.
Oh, was it when I messed up?
Was it? I don't remember.
Well, I've only done it like 2 times. And the first time I was so nervous.
No.
Well, okay. My first impression was that seemed pretty cool. Like the electric guitar is pretty cool, man. Like I've heard you play it. Like I think I've seen you post a video somewhere like Instagram or something. So I admired that. And it's always cool to meet someone else that plays Ultimate. And then recently, before COVID, we were gonna play at Goodfill together on the FSA team. That was unfortunate. I really think we could have taken it home. But yeah, Jonathan is he's a homie, and he's a great listener, and also like he strikes up good conversation, like Exhibit A with Ben.
Sorry, bro.
Yeah, my first impression of Jonathan was I mean, we met like I guess a month ago through this podcast. I remember we were prepping. I remember I was like a little nervous because like I didn't really know Jonathan, and then Ben was like, I played League with him, but we hadn't had a conversation with him yet. So we're both kind of just like, oh, I think this is like the first time we have a guest that like we're not super familiar with. So then I was like, how can this go? But then like it actually turned out really well. I remember like we were really hitting it off, and then like we were able to talk about like a lot of like different stuff. And I was like, oh, this guy's actually like a really cool guy.
Sorry, bro.
All right. Okay. Am I the last?
All right. Last but not least.
Yeah, my name's Matthew. I'm the jungler for our team, and I'm from Plano. I live across the street from Ben. Back home. Yeah.
Yes, sir, bro.
I can go first since we live across the street. I remember like I didn't like truly meet Matthew until middle school, but we like went to the same elementary school, and I just had like seen him from a distance. Kind of like similar to like how Sun sort of like racially profiled people. Like
There's a better way to articulate it.
similar to how like Sun just sought out similar like people.
Yeah, bro, you're just like a kid. You're just like, hey man, that guy's like me.
But yeah, I knew of Matthew just by like seeing him like here and there. but like I didn't know anything about him until middle school when we started riding the bus back together, and then we found out we lived.
Yeah.
So I just remember like we had this little bus squad going on, and it was just I didn't have like a particular impression of Matthew. It was just the whole thing was just like it was a good time.
Fair, bro.
Alright, man.
Yeah, I can go next.
Okay.
I've known Matthew since 7th, 9th grade. I remember we met at CYLC.
I think that was 7th grade.
Oh, it was 7th grade?
Yeah.
Wow. I remember, yeah, we met at CYLC. We had a mutual friend who also went to CYLC. Dude, I really don't remember anything about CYLC. It's been too long. I mean, obviously, I must have liked you if, like, you know, we would hang out, like, after, like, each year at CYLC.
Mhm.
I remember you were pretty chill and, like, you were more level-headed than our mutual friend. So I was like,
I agree. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
yeah.
I'll go next. So like he said, I met Matthew through Ultimate. I remember when I first moved to Austin, I wanted to join UT's Goodfield team that he was on, but I didn't go to UT. And Sun told me that he knew somebody who was like in charge of running the team at the time, which was Matthew. And so I remember I went out to the field. I didn't know anybody there, and I was super nervous. And I think we like passed by each other on the bridge or something. And Sun had told Matthew about me and that I was coming to talk to him. And he was like, "Oh, are you Jonathan?" And I was like, "Yeah." And from there, like just talking to him made me feel really like welcome, and like really like the nervousness kind of went away. And we've played Ultimate together for like what, a year or two now.
Yeah.
And we've also played League. And my impression of him is that he's very level-headed, like Alex said, but he's also very what's the word? He's very like analytical, like both on the field and like when we're playing games. He's very good at like calculating different plays to make, and like I would trust him to like be in charge of like
Yanking
any
bot.
kind of like, strategic thing that
Gang spot. Thank you.
strategic endeavor that is like in my life.
I'll step up to the plate, bro. I'll go up next. Let's see. So, met Matthew in 6th or 7th grade. We were like this, band. You're just kids in middle school, bro. It's like you got a class together. You're like, I have nothing else to do for 8 hours a day. So, but my first impression of Matthew, he's like always been very, like you said, analytical, very level-headed guy. He's got it down straight. I kind of tended to gravitate towards like the smarter people, just try and surround myself with like that same kind of thing I was striving for. So, especially like middle school, like Matthew been like real smart kids, real had their head on straight, trying to get good grades, all stuff from like a very early age. And something like particular about Matthew, like he always was like very like good with himself. Like he was like, like I'm doing me, like I'm having a good time. And he kind of had that like that aura of cool, you know what I'm saying? So I like kind of gravitated to that. I felt like he would do things and I would like try and follow suit. Like he's like, "Oh, dude, I found this cool game on the computer. Like we should play, bro." That's legit. Like why I started playing this game.
I introduced League to our friend group.
Yeah. My parents all of a sudden were like, "Why do you want to play this game on the computer?" I'm like, "Oh, bro, my friend Matthew wants to play."
Oh my god.
This in 6th grade.
That's actually really funny.
Like addiction for decades
Yeah.
to come.
Yeah,
I
legit.
want to insert something real quick. I think I got that from my former best friend in elementary school, who would do that to me, where he would introduce me to the reason why I got a Facebook was to play Restaurant City. I played World of Warcraft with him, stuff like that. So I guess I brought that to my next friend group.
Yeah, man. But I don't know. I've always appreciated sort of the aura of cool and like the level-headedness that you always bring. So that was my first.
It's true. Guess I'm last. Man, my first impression of Matthew, I feel like we were just on the same modern team in freshman year. And I think we got close because we were like right next to each other in Samson's piece. I can't remember. I feel like we were in the back somewhere. But like naturally you just have downtime and you just get to know the people around you. So you're like, oh yeah, I'm Matthew, and then I'm pretty sure I was like trolling in Sansa's days or so. Like, but yeah, I feel like my impression of you is like, this guy's smart, bro. He's like chill, like not quiet per se. Like I don't think you're like a timid person, but you're not like crazy, you know. You're not troll, you know. But that's not a bad thing. But like you were just like a level-headed, chill, smart guy. But on the contrary, though, you do have like your moments where you like the surrounding troll just takes over, and then you just go along with it. You just go along with it, you know. It's just fun to be around. So yeah, that's my impression, dude. Yes, sir, bro.
All right.
I think it's
Now that we're done with first impressions, brought you on to talk about team dynamics. How do you feel about that?
Team dynamics.
Or just in general, like, how do you feel like you value, or rather, this sort of something I brought up the other day, but it was like, do you value the idea of like, teamwork over star players, or like having star power?
What do you mean by star power?
Like, for example, like, let's say in a basketball team, right? A lot of the time, it's the sort of the focus of the team is very, very geared towards 1-star player or 2-star players, and everything else just fits in around them, as opposed to, I don't know, like, let's say volleyball, where like everything must be done with another person. Like you can't physically do anything without another person helping you.
Like double lift, bro.
I think that, you know, it's important if you're going to achieve a high level, individual member of your team needs to be able to perform at a high level as well, right? But I do think that solely having certain people who have very high potential that won't make your team excel, because, you know, it needs to be more than the sum of its parts. So even if you have like great performing individuals, but they don't work together cohesively, that can't push them any farther than by themselves, you know?
I think that's solid. I really value teamwork over individual skill, because I think individual skill is something that can be like pretty easily cultivated. Just you gotta put in time and effort to do that. But I think like the best teams at the highest levels, they work together like as a unit. And like even if that team goes against another team that has a bunch of star players, I think the really good teamwork is gonna beat the best players like every time. The Spurs are not a good example of this, but like the first team that comes to mind is the Spurs.
Gotcha. I guess I can go next. I feel like I don't want to cop out and say it's both, because that's cheating. But they both have like their merits. But if I had to pick, I would definitely say chemistry. Like I feel like in general, if I can't work with you, I'm not gonna have a good time, and then I'm therefore not gonna perform as well. And I think that, and it's like not fun, you know. Like if I show up and do my stuff on the team and I'm not having fun, it's just a chore, you know. And then I feel like it just loses its drive because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of contextualize it with league too. Particularly, I think like that demonstrates itself that teamwork trumps one individual, because you can't win a game on your own, especially in that game, because you can't 1v5 unless you have an absurd lead. I think that goes for a lot of things in life anyways. It's a good theme. I think the one benefit of having like 1-star player is that you can give them the responsibility when it's crunch time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that can exist within like a teamwork structure though. Like you don't have to have one person that's better than everyone else. You can just delegate somebody to be responsible for, you know, important things like when it really matters.
It's true. True, bro.
What are your thoughts, Alex?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about like basketball, like how you kind of highlighted before, because like there are teams that like don't have star players, like some examples I'm thinking about, like Spurs. Well, first half star players, there's more like everyone's like equal. I remember like the 2012, 2013 Denver Nuggets was very team oriented. I think everyone was no one averaged over 20 points. Like they were all like in the double digits. But like that was used as a knock against them because in the playoffs, I guess like defense gets like more rough and like more physical, and like they didn't have like the guy to go like through. So then they got knocked out, and then usually people are like, yeah, that's why you need like a Kobe or you need like a star player or two star players in order to like actually win it. I don't know. Kind of related, like what are your thoughts on like leadership styles? Like I remember watching like The Last Dance, and then like Michael Jordan is like seen as like the GOAT because like he's really high skilled, but he's also the leader. But he's also an asshole. Like literally like would like curse and scream at his teammates or like make fun of them, even get into their personal lives. But some people are like, oh, that's okay because like he had to do what is necessary to be great. Then other people are like, no, I don't think that's necessary. So like to y'all, like do y'all think like in order to like elevate yourself to greatness and like lead your team, like do you need to be a dick, or yeah, are there any other possible ways to avoid that?
Sure. I feel like I can speak on this. So I was a director for UT Modern. So I definitely had to experience, finding my leadership style. And I feel like in my opinion, because like I'm not saying I'm like the king of leaders, the leader of leaders, right? But I feel like I found success in what I did, and I can speak on behalf of that. But I feel like being a dick is unnecessary, in my opinion, right? Because the thing about I feel like people, why you would want to be a dick is because you want to be serious. You want your team to be serious, and you want them to understand that it's crunch time and to not like fool around, which happens. People just fool around. They lose track of things, and it just happens. But I feel like the most effective leadership style is not really rule by authority, but rule by like influence. Like if I tell you to do something and you do it, you're just like acting, But if I inspire you to do something, you're like actually like doing it, with like intention and drive rather than like, oh, this is a chore, And I feel like that makes a difference. And the second part of that is like, I feel like if you're not a dick and you're like, you can still be stern, but you can still be like a friend to them, And I feel like being a caring person and being a friend to like your teammates actually just what's the word? It garners like team chemistry and team morale, right? And I think that I value that more than like making everyone do drills like end on end, and I would rather have like the chemistry because I think that will take you farther. So yeah.
I feel like in my leadership experience, I feel my own personal style is very like participatory. I don't know. I feel like you have to be you can't be above your team because technically you're still a part of the team, right? Like Sun said, you have to have their respect and you have to respect them. And I think that once you have that sort of working relationship with them, then things go much more smoothly. Because I mean, just in all parts of life, I feel like you don't really ever need to like be addicted to someone, right? Like you have the skills and the abilities to be like solve conflicts and solve problems through like reasonable conversations and things like that. Like it's all comes down to respect, man. Like your team needs to respect you, you respect your team, and you just be able to influence others, be able to do things as opposed to forcing them to do things. Because I mean, I feel like this is just in general. You perform better on whatever you're doing if you're having fun doing it, or if at least the people there are a joy to be around. Doesn't matter if you're like cleaning tables. Like if you really like your people you're there with, like you're gonna enjoy that and probably do a better job than if you hated it and you didn't like people around you.
Amen, bro.
I wouldn't say this as like a defense in Michael Jordan or whoever has this like leadership style, but I think that maybe the reason why it happens to them, why like the things that they do come off that way or like why they act that way, is just because they can't separate themselves from the intentions that they want to carry out on their goals versus like the personality and the way they deliver it. I'm sure there's people that can never like they always seem like they're super intense, but they don't mean it. It's just the way it comes across. So that might just be something that they have to work on. That like the tone that they set for their team. And it's also kind of really hard. Another point I want to bring up: it's hard to argue with results. Like you can't say that Michael Jordan was not. I mean, like people argue about the GOAT all the time, but you can't argue the number of championships that the Bulls won. Like there's pieces of what he did that worked, and it's really hard to separate those pieces because it's not like we're in a video game where you can take units, like move one unit of yelling to one unit of like dribbling, right? Like it's just like this cohesive piece that it may be like a chaotic mess, but it delivers results. And so it's not necessarily cut and dry, like like the leadership style has to be this way and like otherwise it's wrong. It's like stuff gets done, and like next time, like we'll learn from these mistakes, but thank God that we won the championship.
Yeah, there are different like effective leadership styles. I don't think there's a single effective style. I mean, as with most things, there's not a single correct answer, right? Like we live in a very grayscale world. Everything's like a spectrum.
True.
Sure.
You got any thoughts, Jonathan?
I think I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive, like being a dick and being a good leader. But I think it worked very well for Michael Jordan simply because of his personality, simply because he was the kind of person who put in the work at all costs. Like Matt said, like the results don't lie. He is one of the most celebrated basketball players of all time, if not the most celebrated basketball player of all time, right? And I think like the being a dick part just comes from like passion, like he loved what he did and he spent all of his time doing it, and he wanted himself to be at a certain level, and in turn he wanted his teammates to be at the same level too. Is it right to like be a dick? I don't think so, but I think it came from a good place.
Yeah, I think if you were on his team, you might understand that maybe a certain percentage of that is not, he didn't mean that. So I wouldn't say tolerate it, but you can come to an understanding that you can compromise. Michael be less of a aggressive leader, and then you'll take some time to be patient with him while he works on that to be a better leader.
What kind of things would he do, just out of curiosity? Like what like did he do that were dickish, I guess?
Like I know there's like one scene where he's on the plane and then like they're just like playing cards, and like he's like even like off the court he's like, I have to be a winner, so he beats him backpack or something, and then he's like hey, like he shouts out to the players' mom like, hey, if you're watching this, like just let him know that he went to Vegas, like he had all these strippers, like he's super crazy and he's gonna get in trouble, and then the dude's just like, what the fuck?
Dude, that's pretty funny.
I think that's too far.
That's hilarious.
That is like something in his brain that not very few people probably have. It's like he's legit crazy about winning.
Yeah, I think he even said like, I have an addiction to like winning.
Yeah,
there's always just a lot of little stuff. Like you will see him like there's like a coin toss, and then he's like playing with his security guard, and like he like throws it, and then like the point is you're trying to get as far as you can without like hitting the wall, and then like he gets pretty far, and he's like, this is it, and then his security guard like actually does better, and then the security guard makes fun of him. He does like the shrug, and then Michael goes like, get out of here, stuff like that. It's just like he's also known for being very petty, like for his Hall of Fame speech. Instead of like usually in like when you win an award, you're like trying to thank people. You're like, thank you for inspiring. He's just like talking shit about everyone. He's like, my high school coach who cut me, this player who like didn't respect me when I came on the team. Like I just want you to know that this is all your fault, and I'm not forgetting. It was like stuff like that. He was
Holy shit!
This guy is psychotic. But I guess like yeah, I mean, honestly, if you're like at that level, you probably need to be like a little crazy or a lot of drive to the point where like you have to believe that like you deserve to be up there, right? Like I think confidence plays like a very big role in like reaching that like top level, like in no matter like what field you're in, because like no matter how skilled you are, like if you don't like believe like you belong, then like it's gonna show. Yeah, I guess for y'all, like how do y'all see the role in like confidence whenever like y'all are like pursuing a task or skill?
Rephrase that. Oh, sorry, I didn't quite understand the question.
Sure. I guess it's like, how do y'all, I guess, like view your own like confidence whenever you're trying to like pursue a skill or task? Sometimes people are like not necessarily the most confident innately, but like there are ways like they have to like hype themselves up, whether it's like for like a ritual, or they get someone to tell them that they're great every day and they just believe it. Little things like that.
Believe it.
I think my confidence comes from practicing and rehearsing, particularly from a dancer standpoint who does mostly choreographies and like sets for a competitive team. We have hundreds of hours that we put in the practice rooms, like in front of a mirror or like without a mirror even. So that amount of time invested makes you feel like better when you're like about to go on stage, in my experience, because I know that I can fall back on muscle memory. Same thing with other stuff like playing sports. And before we were recording, like yesterday, we were talking about flow state and how if you can get in that zone and your muscle memory takes over, it makes you feel a lot better about how you're approaching the situation. You feel like you can just think about other things besides the little minute things, and it makes you feel a lot more confident.
It's true, bro.
I mean, I think it's kind of like that, but a little different. Is I feel like a lot of my confidence, especially when I play games, it comes from understanding the theory behind something or understanding like an inherent.
I knew you'd say that.
Theory, bro.
Like
I watch his LCS every day.
Yeah. He's Parth, bro.
Okay, like part of like for League in particular, I just really enjoy how like the game has a lot of depth. Like there's so much that can like go into like a certain action. Like for example, all these different like rune setups can all like be used for like the same action, right? Which is like going into like top lane, right? But the results they yield are so vastly different because of like how many different combinations of things there are and how many different like routes you can take or like yada yada yada. But like even back to like sports, I remember when I played tennis, like the other day we were talking about flow state and I didn't really understand it because like for me, like winning in tennis was like, oh, like I know where like my shots should go at every point in time, right? Like if I'm serving at like this spot, like I know I should go here because like they are weak on like X side, right? So I should serve to this side in order to capitalize on their weakness and then end the point fast, right?
200 IQ.
Yeah. And so that's how I sort of like always internalize like any sort of like competitive activity. I always like to think about like the strategies and like what makes like something good at just like a pure theory level. And then like if I understand the theory, I feel like I'm very, very confident in doing that activity.
Yeah, that
is very characteristic of you. That is so bad, dude.
That manifests in how you talk about volleyball too, I noticed, where you get really excited about explaining things to other people. Like, those characters in the anime that explain stuff to the audience?
Yeah.
That guy.
He's that guy, bro.
That's bro. Yeah.
I mean, that's just like what works for him. It's
true. That's so funny, bro. I feel like you go first.
I think that what I'm about to say, y'all are gonna be like, oh my god, because I feel like it's very Especially evident when we play League. But as far as like confidence play into performing whatever activity I'm doing, regardless of how where my skill level is at, I feel like I'm always extremely self-critical and I have very high expectations for things. So like in general, like I know the skill level that I'm at, somewhere to know sort of what actions I need to take. And if something does not necessarily go the way planned, it's like, what the heck, man? Like, why wasn't I able to do that? Because I feel like that should be something that I'm able to do. I think that I'm very momentum based in life and, and just in mindset a lot of times. I think that if I can hype myself up to be like, oh yeah, like I got this, I know I'm so prepared, I'm very skilled at this, I can do whatever X thing, then I go and I kill it and I will just continue doing so. But it can also be a little easy for me to sink into a rut if I like mess up one thing that I've been working recently on trying to move like failures out of the way. It's like, okay, like next game, or like, okay, like next project, whatever thing I'm working on.
It's true.
Like I'm very, very momentum based and confident in performance.
Yeah. Were you gonna say something?
Oh, got you. I feel like for me, so like overcoming like self-doubt to have confidence comes to two things. I feel like it's commitment and results. So in terms of like commitment, I kind of learned this like dancing, and it's like any good dancer you watch isn't good because he's half-assing it, right? It's because he's doing it 100%, which is why he's really good at what he does. And like that comes, if I apply it to League, it's like being scattered on a call. Like if you hesitate on a call, you gonna fuck it up. Like that's what I mean. Like you should just commit to it, and like because that has the highest chance of success. And even if it like fails, then like it sucks. But like you have to commit to it, because like the moment you do something half-ass, then like it's never gonna work out, or like the chances of success just doesn't work out,
Wow.
And in terms of like results, I say this a lot in like speeches for our dance team, but I say you will never rise, like when you're under pressure, your skill will never rise to the occasion, right? It will always fall to the level of your training. So like when you rehearse and you succeed in like that specific rehearsal, that is like a result, right? And just every time you have successful results back to back and you're like, okay, I've done this before, like as a result, and I have these results to back it up, and that innately makes you more confident. It's like, I've done this before, I can do it again, and you have like trust in it, It's like if I procrastinate for a test 3 days before and I always get away with it, I'm mad confident. And I'm just gonna do it again every time.
I don't understand how you do that, man. Oh my god.
But yeah,
you told me about your whole study method. The way Sun studies is literally what he just said. He waits for like 3 days before the test, does not go to class, does not look at any material whatsoever, and then 3 days before the test, he locks himself in the library and just sits in the library for 3 days straight studying, and then he gets an A+ like every time. It makes no sense.
Absolutely.
No. He doesn't lock himself in the library. He always just sits in the same spot. So like him being in the library is like just his normal routine. It's just a matter of whether he walks around and says hi to everyone.
Is that true, bro?
When I walk into the library at school, when I walk past that area that he always sits in, I'm looking at that specific chair for him. And then I move on if he's not there.
His usual.
Yeah, now that I think about it, every time I've seen Sun in person, or at least almost every time, he's always saying that spot.
He's a man of consistency. Same thing about his champ pool.
Yeah. If it works, it works, bro.
Wait, to throw it back to Alex though, what is your sort of like methodology to like confidence?
I don't have a mythology. I'm a very unconfident.
How about in the few things or the things that you are confident in? I feel like you should be confident in more things.
So I think if I tell myself I'm required to get better at this, like I have to. So like stuff like driving and like, I don't know, work or like other stuff like school, I'm like, I have to like be competent at this, or else like at least like for driving, I'm literally going to die if I'm not good. For like school, like I don't want to get kicked out or I need a job, but stuff like that. So if I like convince myself that like this is a basic skill to live, then I'll eventually get like confident in like my abilities. But right now I've been trying to work um at like for like hobbies and like unnecessary stuff. And like for me it's like I feel like I'm not like a naturally talented person at a lot of stuff. So like when I'm not good at when I'm not good at trying something, I'm kind of like, oh, like this isn't that fun. And then I kind of just stop, especially when I see someone else who like pick it off like right off the bat. But I know like that's not good because like you're literally like no one's like actually most people aren't actually talented at like a lot of stuff. It's like they go through it for like persistence and like hard work. But um, it's been a real big hump of like getting over that. I think like what I try to do now is like I try to get like a friend to like keep me accountable or do it with me. So like I've been doing like home workouts recently because like I've been getting fat and I'm trying to be more healthy. Um, but if I was doing this by myself, this would not last more than 2 weeks. Even within those 2 weeks, it probably wouldn't be that consistent within those 2 weeks. So what I've been doing is like I've been like working out with a friend over Zoom, and like we don't really even like talk that much over Zoom when working out, but it's just mostly like like, hey, this guy is like working out at the same time as like you need to like honor the deal and stuff like that. And it's nice occasion being like, dude, I'm dying right now. He's like, yeah, me too. And then we just go back to our thing. But yeah.
I think that confidence to me has the most to do with my relationship to failure. So I'll tell you a story. When I was in high school, I actually really wanted to be a professional League of Legends player. Like I was very serious about it. I during the summers, I would wake up at like 11 every day. I would play, I would eat, and then I would play for like 6 hours. And then after that, I would stop and I would go and watch replays of like all the games that I played that day. And I had spreadsheets open on my other screen where I would just write down the timestamp and like every single mistake that I made. And then the next day I would get back on, I would play, and then I would have the spreadsheet from the day before, like still on there, trying to figure out what I did wrong yesterday and how I could do better. And whenever I was much younger then, and I had like really high expectations for myself. And I think, like it got to a point where it would put a lot of pressure on me. And anytime I made like any kind of mistake, I would get really upset at myself. And I'd be like, man, what's wrong with me? Like, other people can do this. Why can't I do this? And it was just like, I got pretty good. I won a couple different tournaments. And when I was like a junior or senior in high school, I played 80 carry for UT's gaming club back then, which was called Tespo at the time. So I would come like every week and I would play in them and play in tournaments with them. And it was a lot of fun. But I think the one thing I realized growing up and picking up like a bunch of other hobbies outside of video games is that the main difference between being confident in learning something new is just taking yourself out of the results of what you do. So like back then I was like, oh my god, if I missed this one minion, or if I die here, like I suck, right? So I'm thinking like I suck because this happened. But now it's like I realized that how much pressure that actually put on me. And what I think the better course is like, how I said like taking yourself out of it. So it's not like if I die, right? It's not that like I suck. It's just like I made a mistake by doing this and this, but it doesn't say anything about me. My thoughts are only on what's happening objectively, and doesn't have anything to do with like it's not telling anything about myself. And I feel like this idea kind of helps me garner confidence in like learning a lot of like or in all the things that I do, so yeah, that's what it is for me.
Yeah, I think I resonate with what you're saying, at least in like what you do to like I guess like deal with failure. Because I realize like I do the opposite, right? Like I put myself into like my position of failure. I'm like, this is my fault. It's on me. Versus like, oh, this is like a learning experience. But like kind of like spinning off of that for like all of y'all and Sun when he gets back. But like what is your what is your relationship with the idea of like it's like for the process versus like results? You know, do y'all like lean a certain way? Because for some people, it's like, you know, if they enjoy doing like the sport or craft, like doesn't matter like how big or where they go as long as they're doing it. But for some people, it's, you know, if they don't reach the certain standard, then like none of it is worth it.
I think it depends. Like the issue of winning versus, you know, like having fun is something that people talk about a lot. I think you could argue it from both sides because, you know, you could say if you're not having fun, why are you playing? But then on the flip side, if you could also say if you're not trying to win, why are you playing? Because that's the goal of the game. So I think there's a balance to be struck. I personally feel like I lean more on the competitive side where I'm trying to achieve results because that's something that I can use as a yardstick to measure my performance. But also, like, I try to check in with myself and make sure that I'm still having fun when I'm doing whatever it is, frisbee, dance, whatever.
It depends on the activity. Like there are obviously certain things in life that you strive to get results for, regardless if it's a lot of mental strain and struggle to get there. You know, you're studying hard for a test, you're like trying to get this job, things like that. As far as like hobbies go, I think I tend to be more a competitive person. I do like to see results because I mean it can be very stressful when or taxing, I guess, mentally when you put a lot of effort into something and you don't kind of reap the rewards from it later. You just kind of are in the same spot. You're like, well, what was all the effort for? But again, like Matthew said, you know, it's really important to take a step back and like, look, are you enjoying this? Are you having a good time? Because like, if not, you're just spending, you know, time is an invaluable resource. You don't get it back. You don't get any back. And it's like, if you just use it on being angry, like, what's the point of that?
I feel like having the want to win isn't enough, in my opinion, because a lot of the time it's like, you know, maybe when you're younger, you're like, I want to be a rock star, you know, but then you never bother to pick up a guitar or bother to learn the chords or your basic music theory, and you never become a rock star because you were infatuated with the idea of being a rock star, but not in the process of becoming one, you know? And I feel like that goes with anything in life. Like, it's not necessarily that you want it enough. You have to want to go through the process enough. Yeah, because I could say I want a jack body. I kind of do. But do I work out? Do I eat healthy? No. So then I obviously don't want it enough, right? I don't want it enough where I would, you know, wake up at 8 a.m., go lift like 300 pounds or something and eat chicken all day. Obviously I don't want it enough. But like, so that was my mom. Anyways, but just to like reiterate, like I think like Mick said, failure is just bound to happen. And if you don't enjoy the process, failure will just stop you. Yeah. Like the moment I'm doing 10 push-ups and I get tired, I just quit because I don't have the passion for it, you know? So that's my thoughts.
I think a healthy balance between the process and the results is like necessary because like Sun said, you need the process to get to the level that you want to be at, right? But you need the results to keep you motivated to do the process, right? I think like a good way for me that I go about it is like I do enjoy the results, but I bring down the scale of like what results I'm expecting, right? So it's like it's not like I don't know, like the rockstar analogy, right? It's not like if I have the goal of being a rock star and I like try to pick a guitar, everything I do that doesn't lead up to me, or everything I do that doesn't match up with me to me being a rock star, it just sucks, right? Like I play a chord and I'm like, fuck, I'm not a rock star yet. You know, I learned what scale. I'm like, fuck, I'm not a rock star.
I could be.
Yeah.
Where these girls come from?
You know what? I think that like if I focus more on the smaller results, like you know, I'm learning this chord. If I can learn this this one chord, I'll be happy, right? And then in turn, that happiness will make me want to do it more because it's like, oh, I can do this, But it's a matter of like breaking it up and not having a goal that's like way, way, way out of reach.
Yeah, I have like maybe like an anecdote with this because I used to play tennis competitively. And I feel like I was very, very results driven. I mean, I was younger. I feel like I didn't know any better. And so it's like, you just play to win, Having fun is secondary to winning because it's like, you practice with people and then you see them winning and you're like, you get sort of like some FOMO. You're like, damn, I want to fucking win too. That was like partially my motivator for a long time because like in tennis, you have to win tournaments in order to move up the ranks. That's like the simplest way to explain it. And like before I won a tournament, like a sanctioned tournament, I was always like getting far, but never like to the ultimate goal. Like you weren't the last one standing. And I think part of the reason that drove this sort of mentality is the coaches would always say that like only one person doesn't lose in the tournament, and it's the ultimate winner, right? Like everyone else loses at some point. And I like, it was something that like I thought was like the right way to think back then because it's
all losers.
You ever seen
loser?
You ever seen Talladega Nights?
Huh?
You ever seen Talladega Nights?
No.
Okay, well, it's like a NASCAR movie, and one of the characters, his name is Ricky Bobby. His quote is, "If you ain't first, you're last."
Second person.
Yeah. That's actually the mentality I had. Like I remember, like back then, like I wanted to, like since I was so kind of like driven by this, I wanted to not just win, but I wanted to like demolish my opponents. Like I didn't want there to be like any doubt that I was better. Like the first sanctioned tournament that I won, like I knew I was better than him. Like the person I beat in the semifinals was for sure better than the guy I played in the finals. And so what I did was instead of like ending points because I was better, I would just keep giving the ball back to him and let him get it out on his own. And I wanted to like completely destroy him. Like,
oh my god!
I'm not even trolling
That's
either.
Nasty, bro. Vin's the kind of guy that's like, ooh.
You got it.
Get the fuck out of here!
And yeah, and I feel like after I won that and like I reached that goal, I was like, I felt really empty inside. I was like, this isn't like, like I trained so hard and like this feels good, like people acknowledge you. But then after like, the shock and awe of it wears away, it's sort of just it isn't much. It's just a title. And then that's when I realized that the process is kind of at first I was like really dissatisfied. I was just kind of like, what was the point? Now I have to just like find another goal or just something. And then as time grew on, eventually I like grew up, and in college, I was like a really big proponent of like the process. Like whenever I played like IM sports with like friends or something, like, I had like a really terrible record. I lost a shit ton of games, but like, I don't think it really mattered in the grand scheme of things because I felt like I was learning. I felt like I was getting better. And like the real thing is like, if you lose or win, you do it as a team. Like, I think the toxic mentality of like being super results based was like, it just isn't the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess like what I'm hearing a lot is like it's all about the little things you do in order to like reach that goal. That's like what's probably like more important versus like trying to go from like A to B like immediately. Like I want to go from like a nobody to I'm on like US top 50 songs or something. Like you gotta like work your way up, and it's like through that process it's okay if you never reach that goal. But, like the important part is that you tried. For me personally, I feel like I'm kind of like in between. Like I feel like I want to be more process oriented. That like my instinct is to be like results, right? Like that's why I'm so hard on myself when I'm like not reaching like certain standards immediately. Like I remember like this year, like I was like a coordinator for my ministry, and it was like a new branch. So it's called like admin and communication. And then I didn't have a template to like model my branch off of, so like I had no idea what I was doing. So in like terms of results, there wasn't really much there. I remember trying to juggle like the budget and social media, which neither side I'm like necessarily great at, but I was trying. So then like at the end, I was like trying to like evaluate my time. I was like, it's not a waste of time. I learned a lot. I learned how to manage a team who are all very different from me. It was an interesting experience, but I was like, in terms of results And if someone were to judge me based on like what future coordinators in my position would do, they would probably say I was a failure in terms of like I didn't have that much output. But I'm going to give myself a lot of pass because I was the first one and I was trying to lay a foundation and make shit easier and have a blueprint. And that's how I lived with myself after that.
Have you ever had those like thoughts that's like on the tip of your tongue and like you can't really like form it into like your native language? Like, oh, actually, wait. On this note, what language do you guys even think in?
English or Kochi. I mean,
Monkey, bro. I don't.
Thinking Tagalog.
Someone said Tagalog?
No, I actually don't think in Tagalog. I think in English. I don't speak a little Tagalog.
I think it's well.
There
I feel like
there are certain words in like other languages that don't really translate into English. Japanese is like the first one that comes to mind, but I can't think of one right now.
I believe you.
My parents are speaking to me in Cantonese, even though that's not my first language. I'll probably think back in Cantonese and to like process what they're saying and to like respond back. But other than that, I think in English because I gave up my Cantonese and Mandarin speaking abilities to speak English when I was 6.
Do you think when you think in a different language, do you think your personality changes?
Yes, but this is not me specifically. This is my mom. So when my so Cantonese is a very abrasive, colloquial language. Like I would say it's very much like, it's a language for common people. I don't know how to put that in any nice way. But, so when she speaks, like she's very animated. Part of this is her personality, but part of it is just like that's just the way. That's just how she expresses herself. But when she speaks in English, I guess like that doesn't like that carries over. So sometimes like she will speak like really loudly, and when she's trying to like not sound like when she tries to sound normal, she ends up just sounding passive aggressive. So people will rub her off. It rubs people off the wrong way. But like in reality, like she's just trying to like talk what she thinks like an American or like a regular person would talk, which is like not super like animated or like expressive. But then it comes off weirdly. So I guess like in this way, it's like her personality is like isn't really being fully expressed because of like the language difference.
See, bro.
I mean, I don't know if this is entirely related, but like
That's okay, bro.
When you speak a foreign language, do you think in that language?
I would say I don't. I feel like it just goes through a filter and it's like the Google Translate. I have my thoughts in English and then it translate some bullshit back out. It's not even accurate, right? I just like, yeah, Matt, can I get some rice? Oh, I already messed it up. I couldn't even I don't even realize it sometimes. Like when you translate to another language, I will slip in like English words. You know, I'm like, konnichiwa, jar. I don't know how to say jar, right? So, but in my brain, it don't matter. So, yeah, just can't. It's too hard, bro.
I asked because like I think this is just a thing for me, but like whenever I speak Thai or like I'm in like this Thai speaking mode, like for example, when I go back to Thailand, I don't like nothing goes into English. It just goes from like Thai to understanding. It doesn't like hit a filter or anywhere. Think, oh, I want to translate this to English. Then it will like translate in my head.
Are you even speaking with the accent?
Dude, shut up.
Wait, is Thai your native language, Ben?
No, English is, but like Thai is where my parents come. Thailand's where my parents come from.
Yeah.
So I grew up listening to them speak it.
Yeah, I think there's an important distinction between if you grew up with it, because then that gets really cemented in your brain. And, you know, if you're fluent, you get to that level where you think in that language. But from a different perspective, I've been learning Spanish off and on since like middle school. And like, I used to like think in Spanish sometimes, like during like a speaking test. But, you know, probably like if I were to use Spanish with like a patient in the future, I probably like don't know enough Spanish to like fully think in Spanish. So it's gonna have to go through that filter, like Sun said, that Google Translate.
I think it's a hallmark of fluency, right? It's like I think if you're at a certain level in the language that you're speaking, you start to think in that language because it's like you don't have to. It's kind of like the muscle memory thing we were talking about, right? It's like you've practiced this so much that you don't even have to think about it. It's like ingrained in your muscle memory already.
Yeah, like I agree with Jonathan. If I think like if you have to kind of think and like translate, like between language to language, it's probably too slow and like you're not that fluent. I think like it goes.
Your Vietnamese sucks, bro. That's what he said.
It does.
I agree with that. I'm by no means fluent in Spanish, but I listen to a lot of Latin radio. I feel like that's the way.
Dude, whenever. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so like, yeah, it's just like all like the radio commercials, and every time they have like little interludes, I'm always like trying to think, and I'm like, they talk very quickly, so I catch about like half of what they say every time. I'm like translating them, but I feel like your comment about it's like being an indicator of fluency is very profound. It's like very, very spot on.
All right. We've already eclipsed the hour mark, so we'll start wrapping things up. We'll just end on a fairly easy question. What would you like to do once quarantine's over?
Sun's face.
Everyone already know, bro. Everyone already know.
No, I'm excited to finally move to New York. Get out, kind of like start a new story. I'm really can't wait for the time where we can walk around without masks in public, without being in fear. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So just looking forward to revisiting that sort of freedom that we've always enjoyed in life.
Yeah, I want to see some friends. I have been living away from Austin since March, so it's been very isolated. And then I'm going to start a new school in August, so I want to meet new friends too, play some frisbee and stuff like that too.
Also, when you were saying that, I just thought it looked so funny because you're like, yeah, I just missing people, and you're sitting in this like dark ass room.
Yeah, this is where my imaginary friend sits right there. Coaches me in jungle. He's a platinum.
Dude, that's a raid.
Well, he's your imaginary friend. At least make him diamond, bro.
Dude, that's why Matthew's also confident whenever he calls for a dive because he thinks it's two people.
Bro, it's like Jesus right next to him. He's like, bro, gang man. He's like going down.
Man, he has no flash. I saw it. Stupid. Man, I feel like I'm the same as Matthew. I've just been isolated at home since March. But yeah, I just wish it was like just back to normal. Like it really sucks that this is like Corona, because like nothing. I feel like nothing will ever be the same until there's like a vaccine, because like you're just gonna have like that looming anxiety, and I think that's like a big part of it. Because now it's like I can't even go to a restaurant without like. Right? Not that it happened, but I feel like the day that I do go to a restaurant, there still won't be a vaccine, and I'm still gonna be like, what the hell, And just like seeing people again, dude. I feel like the hallmark of what makes anything fun is the people you do it with, So
I'm kind of torn because I do miss hanging out with people, and I think you're right. Like a hallmark of what makes something fun and what you do is like the people. But at the same time, I've always been a very like hobby centric person. Like I've actually feel like I've been more happy during quarantine because I don't have to work and I don't have to worry about school, so I'm just free to like pursue all the hobbies that I'd like. But there was a point in time where like the quarantine blues got to me.
I'm
It's
horny.
like 4 a.m. and you're like laying in bed and you're like your Instagram is open, but you're scrolling, but you're not even looking at what you're scrolling through. You're like, man, I should probably go to sleep soon. But next thing you know, it's like 6 a.m.
Okay, this man's lying. At 4 a.m., we're playing League. He's not laying in bed.
He's laying in bed.
As far as you know. Yeah, this has been a great episode. I think this is our largest episode yet with 4 guests. Hope y'all enjoyed it. This is Nuanced Nonsense. We're not experts, but we just like talking. Signing out.
Can I get a yeah?
Yeah.
You guys do say.